Hello, thank you so much for making time for us here. I just have a few questions for you. So first of all, what's your name?
Alan, Donovan.
And how long have you been here in Kenya?
51 years.
Oh, that's great. So over the time that you've been here, what allowed you to just pick Kenya? There's so many countries, but you know.
Well, true. I first came with the U.S. government, with the State Department, as a diplomat to Nigeria. And I was relief officer during the Nigeria-Biafra War, which was a very tragic event, very cruel tribal war. I quit my job, went to Paris, bought a Volkswagen bus, drove across the Sahara to Nigeria, then I drove across the Congo to Kenya. And I first went up to northern Kenya and stayed mostly with the Turkana for a few months. And I made a big collection of everything they made in such a harsh desert environment. I was so impressed and amazed at what beautiful designs they had.
Yeah.
So I bought my collection, and my friends at the embassy said, "Oh, you must have an exhibition." And that was in 1970, October. And the only African there was Joseph Marumbi.
Ah, yes. So you guys worked together?
And he was the former vice president and the first foreign minister. And eventually we opened African Heritage because it was his dream to have a center in Kenya where Kenyans and visitors could see the creativity of the whole continent.
Ah, okay. So after putting all that effort to come to Kenya and start your own house, why specifically African culture, like artifacts?
I've always loved Africa, and I always wanted to come to Africa, even as a child. And it was my dream to see Africa, so that when I started traveling and I saw most parts of the continent, and then after I joined Marumbi, I went to about 20 African countries every year buying for African Heritage, so I got to see almost every country of Africa.
So when you were buying these artifacts, was the house already built? Or?
No. No, I lived in a small house just beside this house for the first 22 years.
Oh, really?
And my first secretary, to get that house, my first secretary said, "My father's buying me a house because I'm getting married. But my fiance bought me an island in the West Indies, so I don't need that house.
Oh, so you have
So would you like to see it?" So we drove out, and I said, "Oh no, it's too far." Then I went through the house and looked at this view. If you turn your camera around, you see why I stayed in Kenya. This magnificent view, and I've been thinking about building a house based on the mud architecture of Africa that I'd seen in so many countries, the palaces and the mud mosques, all made of mud.
Yeah.
And it was my dream then to make a house as totally African as possible. So that's how I built this house.
So the design of the house, how much effort did you have to put to get all these beautiful designs all over it?
Well, it was not difficult because I had acquired so many things that I put in storage. So by the time I started the house in 1989, I had a lot of things for the house. And we just had to find ways of recreating the mud style architecture. And so this is a unique house. It's been featured in magazines in practically every country in the world.
Yeah.
And so it's called the most photographed house of Africa.
That's great. So I found out that this house is bordering the railway.
Yes, right there you can see two lines. The first one was built in 1898 by the British colonials, and it still goes through. And then we have the new Chinese train, the SGR. And so I still have about 25 or 30 trains going by every day.
And it really is a beautiful sight, isn't it?
It is. I hope the park remains forever. I hope that that there's never going to change and we have a parking lot or we have skyscrapers there one day. I hope the park remains forever because it really is a national treasure of Kenya, and it's what makes Nairobi different from every country and every city in the world.
Yeah.
It's because on the doorstep you have all this wonderful chance and opportunity to see every animal except elephants in this park.
Yeah.
The park is too small for elephants, but it has all the other animals.
So in this beautiful house, what would you say is your favorite artifact?
This item here from the Turkana. That's what changed my life completely, because when I was staying with the Turkana, I looked at these and I thought they were gourds, but this is not a gourd, it's wood. And it's carved by women only. And can you imagine carving that with just a broken spear and a piece of glass? And every woman carves her own.
That's beautiful.
This is a milk container. The top is used like a goblet for drinking. Look how thin it is. Can you believe a woman did this with just a broken spear and the end of the spear? I tried to carve something like this and I couldn't even carve a milk bucket, which is simple. And I stayed with the Turkana. This was the first thing I decided to buy. And then they were laughing at me because it's cracked and it doesn't hold milk, but I was looking at it because of the beauty of the design, the exquisite design, and they're in the desert where they have so few things to decorate it. They managed to make it beautiful with ochre and soot and cowrie shells. So I sold my Volkswagen bus and I
had enough money.
Spent all my money to buy
a bunch of
things across the northern frontier of Kenya.
Thank you so much for allowing me to be able to view all of this beautiful architecture and telling me so much more about the foundations of this house. I've learned so much from Alan Donovan, and he's told me almost everything that I need to know about this magnificent building. That's it for section 2 of page 1 of my Nature's Journal, as we got to visit the beautiful African Heritage House and see all the cool artifacts that they have over here. I hope you had as much fun viewing all these beautiful artifacts as I did. But from my side, it's a goodbye.